Hello, everyone. In this short video for this week, I was just going to go over a quick lesson on sampling and just reviewing some of the ideas from chapter 14. So this is primarily chapter 14, sections 1 and 2. And this has to do with polls, how you run a poll, and or sorry, this is sections 2 and 3, not 1 and 2. Um, Polls, how you run a poll, cause and effect, and a little bit of just the some of the ideas between uh, on cause and effect and that kind of thing. All right, so um, let's say I'm just gonna throw a sample study out. So you want to determine which coffee wakes people up the most. Sort of either, let's say we have a Radina's house blend. For those of you that are remote, the Radina's is a local coffee shop. Or um, say a Radina's espresso. Okay, so we all have an idea um, which one will do the best job, but maybe this is what you want to determine. And so there's a couple of, you decide you're going to run some kind of a survey. And so if you want to run a survey, there are different ways that you can do this. So maybe the question will be, um, describe how to conduct a survey using, say, convenience sampling, B, um, random sampling, C, um, stratified sampling, and then D, quota sampling. So let's use this as a part of this, and then sort of additionally, and we'll answer this question first, determine the target, say 1, the target population, and 2, whatever in each of these sampling methods, the sampling frame. Okay, great. So this is a lot of the vocabulary, not all of it, but a lot of vocabulary that's used in these sections. So let's get started. So for the answer, we'll say 1, your target population could be uh, multiple things here. So we'll say the target population are customers of Verdina's. So this would be our target population. We're not looking necessarily at all individuals or all individuals in Kansas or Manhattan or the US, just the customers of this particular coffee shop would be our target population. And well, the sampling frame will depend on which method of sampling we choose. Okay, so For 2, the sampling frame is going to be the subset, from which we're choosing our um, our sample. So if we look at A, we should answer A as a convenience sampling. How would we go about doing a convenience sampling? Well, let me actually, I'll hold off till after we've answered A, B, C, and D. So let's answer A. Well, one convenience sampling is we set up a table um, uh, by the Radinas, one Radina's location, and we just ask individuals, maybe put a sign up and see if they want to make a comment. And so we ask people going in to fill out the survey, complete the survey. Two questionnaire of, which one do you like, or which one wakes you up more? The survey. Okay, so that's an example of convenience sampling, and it suffers a bunch of different biases because we may not get um, uh, a good representation of all of the customers if we just do it this way. So in particular, the sampling frame here would be customers visiting this location uh, while the table is set up. So at a particular time, that's the sampling frame in this case. So the people that we're going to get, and not all of them will stop and complete the survey. So we will only get a certain number, but the frame at which we're taking those people out of will be only the people visiting this location at this time. Of course, all of the people going to the other locations or all of the people going to this location at different times are not going to be included in our study here, in our survey. So that would be A. That would be an example of A. For B, and this is the random sampling. We could say, all right, well, ask ownership to provide you with the list of customers. They have some rewards program in their rewards program, say. Now, okay, this is a hypothetical, so I'm going to ignore like the privacy issues or anything like that might come into play here. But, and then we can assume that the vast majority, or we can hope that the majority of customers are in this program, then randomly select through either a computer program or through just manually pulling names out, but probably a computer program, select, say, 10% of these customers. This would be completely unbiased and at least within the sampling frame. So, and what is a sampling frame in this case? Which maybe it's not. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. the sampling frame here are customers in the rewards program. So it's not necessarily, well, certainly not all customers. Someone who's just stopping through and gets a coffee is not going to be included in this sample. This, you know, so it does suffer that defect, but all right. But it's a little bit better than being only in one location at one time. You don't get, you're not biasing so much, or your sampling frame is more general, I'll say. All right. So what about C? So C was stratified sampling. Well, you could go and you could get, let's assume you had a list. So get a list of customers from each location. And well, let's assume that maybe I should have said Starbucks or something instead of Rodina's, but if you had many, many different cities in which these coffee shops existed, you would maybe choose a few of the cities. So choose some regions, a few regions, cities randomly, and then conduct the survey by going, say, to their houses or setting up a polling location for each region with a sample from each region. So you would randomly select a sample within each location. And this would be an example of a stratified sampling. Now, the sampling frame here is the entire list of customers. So this should match up in principle, the list of customers. Except maybe those that are not in any of these locations. Maybe like someone who's passing through, we'll say except visitors. So your sampling frame, you have to say, okay, well, you're not going to, whenever you're doing a sample, you're not going to get everyone, no matter what. But the sampling frame is just the people that you could get when you choose this sample. So as long as you're not excluding anyone, but visitors here, since you're looking at locations in which people shop, maybe they will never be in those locations, at least permanently, or you could say, well, maybe I'm excluding these. All right, D. D was quota sampling. And here you would have to have some demographic information, or at least some kinds of information that you want to assign to the customers. So if you knew that, let's say, 40% of Rodina's customers were over, let's say over 30, and let's say 20% were between 20 and 30, And there's a lot, apparently a lot of coffee drinkers that are, and 40% under 20. So a lot of college students, let's say, early college students. You could decide, you poll exactly 40 customers. Can't seem to, let's say 40, 20, and 40 customers within the age groups over 40, or sorry, over 30, between 20, sure why, between 20 and 30, and under 20 age groups. So respectively. So when you conduct the survey, the first thing you ask is, are you of this age group? And they say, okay, yes. And you say, well, I've had enough of those people. I'm going to ask these people. And you go ahead and choose those individuals based on the demographic information that you have. And you do it proportionally. And you use the results to represent your customers. Now, I didn't describe represent your sample. So I didn't describe essentially where you would do this, but you could do this from these customer lists. And yeah, and in this case, your sampling frame would still be the list of customers. But again, the selection bias can jump in here because you are misspelling customers everywhere. Your selection bias can jump in here because you know are only choosing the individuals based on these criteria. So this has a tendency to kind of mask a good random representation of customers. Okay, so this hopefully gives you a little bit of an idea of how to answer questions like this, and maybe gives you a sense of what these different terms mean. All right, I hope this helps out.